For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a crisp morning in 2010, 36-year-old Blake Harmon left his last known camp in the remote Esmeralda County, Nevada, embarking on a solo hunt for quartz float near an abandoned claim off Palmetto Wash. He was live blogging his desert prospecting, then abruptly fell silent. He never returned. Despite an immediate extensive ground and air investigation that scoured thousands of unforgiving desert acres, Blake Harmon vanished without a trace. No equipment, no tracks, no sign of struggle, just the crushing emptiness of the Nevada wilderness. For 13 agonizing years, his family and the tight-knit prospecting community lived with haunting uncertainty and unanswered prayers. Then, in 2023, a discovery was made in the relentless desert sun. A rust-stained gold pan, wedged deep in tailings, clutched a torn topo map. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Blake Harmon. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from. And if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Blake Harmon, a 36-year-old desert prospector, harbored a deep passion for the remote, sun-baked landscapes of the American West. His life was dedicated to the pursuit of mineral wealth, driven by a blend of scientific curiosity and an almost romantic ideal of discovery. He was a seasoned outdoorsman, meticulous in his preparations, and deeply knowledgeable about geology and the history of mining. The Nevada desert, in particular, called to him with its vast, untamed expanses and the promise of hidden treasures beneath its ancient surface. In the spring of 2010, Harmon embarked on one such expedition, a solo venture into the desolate reaches of Esmeralda County, Nevada. His objective was specific: to locate promising deposits of quartz float near an abandoned claim situated off Palmetto Wash. Quartz float, pieces of quartz that have broken off from a larger vein and weathered down a hillside, often indicates a significant gold-bearing lode nearby. It was a methodical search, requiring patience, keen observation, and an intimate understanding of the terrain. Unlike many solitary prospectors, Harmon maintained an active connection with the outside world. He meticulously documented his journey through a live blog, uploading entries via satellite device whenever signal allowed. His online community, a diverse group of fellow enthusiasts, armchair adventurers, and aspiring geologists, eagerly followed his progress. He shared photographs of promising rock formations, described the stark beauty of the landscape, and detailed the daily challenges of desert life. These posts served not only as a record of his work, but also as his primary link, however intermittent, to friends and family. The rhythm of his updates was consistent, a reliable pulse from the wilderness. Then, abruptly, the entries ceased. The last post, a hopeful note about a promising outcrop, appeared on May 12, 2010. His followers waited, initially with casual patience, then with growing unease for the next dispatch. Days bled into a week, then 2, without a single word. The silence from Esmeralda County became profound, an absence that echoed across the digital space. What began as a mild curiosity among his online community soon escalated into genuine alarm. Friends and family, unable to reach him by phone or satellite, initiated calls to local authorities. The vast, unforgiving Nevada desert, once a canvas for Harmon's dreams, now loomed as a potential tomb. The realization solidified. Blake Harmon, the dedicated prospector who had so openly shared his solitary quest, was missing. The alarm triggered by Blake Harmon's sudden silence quickly escalated into a full-scale search operation in May 2010. First responders, including local sheriff's deputies and volunteers, converged on Esmeralda County, a landscape notorious for its vastness and unforgiving conditions. The initial efforts were frantic, driven by the slim hope that Harmon might still be found alive, perhaps injured or disoriented. Ground teams meticulously combed sections of the remote desert, battling extreme daytime temperatures that routinely soared past 100 degrees Fahrenheit and the deceptive chill of desert nights. Aerial surveys, utilizing helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft, crisscrossed immense search grids, their powerful optics scanning the barren terrain for any sign of Harmon, his vehicle, or a makeshift camp. The The Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, quickly became a central player in the coordinated response. Ranger Cora Vega, a seasoned veteran of desert operations, found herself at the helm of a rapidly expanding search. She directed resources, liaised with various agencies, and understood intimately the immense challenges presented by the Nevada wilderness. Every available asset was deployed: tracking dogs, off-road vehicles, and specialized search and rescue personnel. The sheer scale of the operation underscored the gravity of Harmon's disappearance. Despite the monumental effort and the deployment of significant resources, the search yielded nothing. There was no trace of Harmon's vehicle, a crucial absence given the remoteness of his stated location. No footprints leading away from any discernible point, no discarded equipment, no signal fires, no sign of struggle. The desert, in its indifferent vastness, seemed to have simply swallowed him whole. The area around Palmetto Wash, Harmon's last known vicinity, was scoured repeatedly, but remained an empty canvas. As days turned into weeks, initial theories began to emerge, each explored with a desperate hope for a lead. Had he become lost, succumbed to dehydration or heat stroke? Was there an accident, perhaps a fall down an unseen crevice, or an encounter with dangerous wildlife? The possibility of foul play was also considered, though without any physical evidence it remained purely speculative. Investigators pursued every hypothesis, tracing potential paths, interviewing anyone who might have seen Harmon. But each avenue led to a dead end. The Nevada desert, with its ancient silent secrets, offered no answers, no definitive clues. It held Blake Harmon's fate close, impenetrable and unyielding, leaving the initial investigation to conclude with nothing but profound uncertainty. The extensive search for Blake Harmon, which had consumed weeks of tireless effort across Esmeralda County, eventually scaled back. As the initial frantic energy dissipated without a single clue, the operation transitioned from an active rescue mission to a grim recovery, and then, inevitably, to a missing person investigation. Weeks turned into months, and months into years, each passing season diminishing the hope of finding Harmon alive. The vast, indifferent desert maintained its silence, revealing none of its secrets. By the close of 2010, the Blake Harmon case had officially gone cold. The official status remained unchanged: a missing person, presumed lost in the unforgiving Nevada wilderness. For those connected to Harmon, his family, his online community, and even the dedicated BLM Ranger Cora Vega, the passage of time brought an agonizing blend of fading hope and persistent grief. The initial belief that a seasoned prospector like Harmon could not simply vanish gave way to a chilling acceptance of the desert's power. Despite the lack of active leads, the case was not entirely forgotten. Each year, on the anniversary of his disappearance, Harmon's family and friends would issue renewed appeals for information, sharing his story across social media and through local news outlets. Online forums dedicated to prospecting and missing persons kept his memory alive, speculating on his fate and occasionally organizing small independent searches, though these too yielded no tangible results. The mystery of Blake Harmon's vanishing became a cautionary tale among the prospecting community, a stark reminder of the inherent dangers lurking in remote lands. For over a decade, the case remained stagnant. The police files gathered dust, the digital breadcrumbs of his live blog became archive data, and the Esmeralda County landscape continued its slow geological march, undisturbed by human inquiry. From 2010 to 2023, 13 years passed without a single credible sighting, a piece of equipment or any physical evidence to explain how an experienced outdoorsman could disappear so completely. The Nevada desert, which had swallowed Blake Harmon whole, held its counsel, leaving an unanswered question echoing through the vast, empty expanse. 13 years had passed since Blake Harmon's disappearance, a period that had seen the world outside Esmeralda County evolve rapidly, while the desert itself remained largely unchanged. The calendar now read 2023. The abandoned claim off Palmetto Wash, the last known vicinity of Harmon's solo expedition, lay as it always had, a testament to forgotten aspirations and the relentless forces of nature. Its tailings piles, the discarded rock and debris from historical mining operations, had settled further, hardened by sun and occasional rain. It was to this forgotten corner of Nevada that a new presence arrived, not part of any official search, but rather a freelance prospector revisiting old haunts, or perhaps a curious hiker drawn by the remote beauty. The discovery was made not through meticulous investigation, but by sheer chance, the kind of serendipitous event that often breaks cold cases. Wedged deep within a slump of coarse tailings, partially obscured by wind-blown sand and scrub, lay a rust-stained gold pan. Its metallic sheen, though dulled by years of exposure, was still discernible against the muted tones of the desert floor. The pan itself was an anomaly. An experienced prospector like Harmon would rarely abandon such a fundamental tool, let alone leave it in such an awkward, almost deliberately placed position. Closer inspection revealed an even more significant artifact. Tucked beneath the pan, its edges brittle and discolored, was a piece of a topographical map. It was torn, its sections missing, but the remaining fragments showed contour lines and what appeared to be a hand-drawn mark, faint with age. This was not merely an object, it was a potential message, a fragment of the puzzle that had eluded investigators for over a decade. The gold pan and the torn map, lying together in the desolate wash, represented the first tangible evidence directly linked to Blake Harmon since his last live blog entry in 2010. News of the find rippled quickly through the local authorities and eventually reached the Bureau of Land Management. For BLM Ranger Cora Vega, who had been intimately involved in the fruitless initial search, the report was startling. 13 years of silence had been shattered by these two unassuming objects. The discovery immediately triggered a re-evaluation of Blake Harmon's missing person case. What had been a cold file, a tragic footnote in the annals of desert disappearances, was now thrust back into the forefront. The rust-stained pan and the torn map offered not just hope, but a concrete starting point, breathing new, urgent life into a mystery long thought unsolvable. The desert, after more than a decade, had finally begun to yield its secrets. The rust-stained gold pan and the torn topographical map, retrieved from the Palmetto wash site, were immediately transported to a specialized forensic laboratory. Every detail became a potential piece of evidence. Experts meticulously examined the pan, analyzing the composition of the rust, searching for any tool marks, and noting the specific manner in which it had been wedged into the tailings. The map underwent an even more intensive scrutiny. Forensic document examiners carefully handled the brittle paper, hoping to reconstruct its original shape, identify the specific edition of the map, and crucially, search for latent fingerprints or microscopic traces of material that might offer further clues. The tiers themselves were studied. Their angles and patterns could potentially indicate how the map was ripped, whether deliberately or by accident. BLM Ranger Cora Vega, whose initial involvement in 2010 had been marked by frustration and dead ends, now found herself leading a reinvigorated investigation. Her long-standing familiarity with the case, coupled with her intimate knowledge of the Esmeralda County terrain, made her uniquely suited to direct this new phase. She understood the desert's capacity to both preserve and obscure, and approached the new evidence with a blend of professional caution and renewed determination. The goal was not merely to confirm the items belonged to Blake Harmon, but to understand their context. Investigators began the arduous task of identifying the torn map. Using geographic databases and historical map archives, they attempted to match the visible contour lines and any faint place names to known topographical surveys of the Esmeralda County area. The hope was that by identifying the specific map, they could pinpoint the precise location it depicted, potentially revealing Harmon's last intended destination, or even the site of his final moments. Every crease, every faded pencil mark, was digitally enhanced and analyzed, searching for clues that might have been overlooked a decade prior. Despite the groundbreaking nature of the discovery, the pan and map raised as many questions as they answered. How had these items come to be left in the tailings? Was Harmon still alive when they were placed there, perhaps as a deliberate marker? Or were they discarded by someone else? The possibility of foul play, though lacking direct evidence, could not be dismissed. The desert, after all, held many secrets beyond those of its geology. To help contextualize the new findings, investigators revisited Blake Harmon's extensive digital footprint. His live blog entries, archived from 2010, were re-examined for any subtle hints about his route, his specific prospecting techniques, or any unusual observations he might have made. His known habits as a meticulous prospector, his reliance on detailed maps, and his cautious approach to the wilderness were all factored into the analysis, attempting to paint a clearer picture of his movements leading up to his disappearance. The new evidence, though small, had finally provided a tangible link to a man swallowed by the vast, silent expanse of the Nevada desert. The painstaking analysis of the torn topographical map yielded its most crucial revelation not from the paper itself, but from a faint, almost imperceptible pencil mark on its surface. Forensic examination of the graphite residue confirmed a definitive match to lead particles found in Blake Harmon's personal prospecting notebook, recovered years prior from his home. This was the irrefutable link. The map had not only belonged to Harmon, but had been actively used by him in the field during his final expedition. The pieces of the puzzle, after 13 years, were finally beginning to fit with chilling precision. With the map authenticated, investigators turned to another critical digital artifact from Harmon's past: the GPS breadcrumbs embedded within his live blogging data. These precise satellite recordings, captured by his device in 2010, offered an exact chronological record of his movements across the Esmeralda County landscape. This previously uncontextualized data, once a mere digital trail, now became an invaluable map of his last known journey. To unlock the full potential of these disparate clues, the investigative team brought in specialized expertise. Nico Salcido, a drone pilot renowned for his advanced aerial mapping capabilities, was tasked with creating a high-resolution, three-dimensional model of the Palmetto Wash area. Concurrently, Walt Reeves, a respected mining historian with an encyclopedic knowledge of Nevada's historic claims, provided invaluable historical maps detailing long-forgotten mine shafts and property lines, many predating official records. The true breakthrough occurred when these layers of information were meticulously overlaid. Salcido's detailed drone imagery showing the modern topography was combined with Blake Harmon's 2010 GPS tracks and Walt Reeves's meticulously preserved historical claim lines. The digital synthesis revealed a startling anomaly: a section of terrain that, while appearing natural on the surface, perfectly aligned with an old, unrecorded mining feature: a Windsor. This was not a typical visible shaft, but a disguised winze, a vertical or inclined passage within a mine deliberately camouflaged to blend seamlessly with the surrounding environment, likely to hide a rich vein or avoid claim disputes. Further investigation, cross-referencing Reeves's historical records with geological reports and local seismic data, confirmed the devastating final piece of the puzzle. The disguised Windsor, located directly along Harmon's final recorded GPS path, had suffered a significant collapse. This catastrophic event was dated to within days of Blake Harmon's abrupt disappearance in May 2010. The evidence, converging from multiple scientific and historical disciplines, pointed to one inescapable conclusion: Blake Harmon had likely fallen into the hidden shaft, only to be entombed by the subsequent collapse, sealing his fate beneath tons of rock and earth in the remote Nevada desert. The convergence of evidence from Blake Harmon's authenticated map, his GPS breadcrumbs, Salcido's drone imagery, and Reeves's historical mining data painted one inescapable tragic conclusion. Blake Harmon had, in all likelihood, fallen into the disguised winze shortly after his last live blog entry in May 2010. The subsequent well-documented collapse of that very shaft, occurring mere days after his disappearance, had sealed his fate, entombing him deep within the earth beneath tons of rock and debris. The Nevada desert had not merely swallowed him, it had buried him. With this definitive understanding, the focus shifted to a grim but necessary operation: the recovery of Blake Harmon's remains. Specialized mining engineers and rescue teams, equipped with advanced excavation tools, were deployed to the collapsed winze. The work was slow, methodical, and fraught with peril, as the unstable ground posed a constant threat of further collapse. For weeks, they carefully navigated the treacherous earth, driven by the singular purpose of providing closure to a family who had waited 13 years. Eventually, through diligent and dangerous effort, Blake Harmon's remains were located and recovered, bringing a definitive end to the mystery. BLM Ranger Cora Vega, her face a blend of solemn relief and profound sadness, reflected on the long, arduous journey. The answer, when it finally came, was heartbreaking but undeniable. Nico Salcedo, the drone pilot, acknowledged the power of modern technology in unearthing historical truths, while mining historian Walt Reeves spoke somberly of the countless forgotten dangers that lay hidden beneath the seemingly benign desert landscape, remnants of an era of less regulated extraction. Blake Harmon's fate served as a stark, tragic reminder of the inherent risks of solo prospecting in remote, historic mining areas. The desert, beautiful and alluring, concealed a silent, deadly legacy of human enterprise. His story underscored the critical importance of meticulous mapping, thorough historical research, and the often underestimated perils hidden just beneath the surface, waiting patiently for an unsuspecting step. For his family, the long-awaited resolution, though devastating, brought a form of peace. The agonizing uncertainty was replaced by a concrete, if tragic, truth. Blake Harmon, once a passionate prospector whose disappearance became a baffling enigma, was now a cautionary tale, his story a testament to the desert's indifferent power and the enduring human drive to uncover its secrets. The vast, silent expanse of Esmeralda County, Nevada, had finally relinquished one of its many deeply held mysteries.